For decades, the Queen Mother's private correspondence remained locked away, untouched, unseen, and fiercely protected by royal protocol. But just 1 minute ago, that silence shattered. In a move no one expected, Princess Anne stepped forward and revealed sealed letters that were never meant to surface. Letters that name Catherine as the rightful heir to the crown's most intimate and historic jewels. And what those pages contain could change everything. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. The legacy of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, has always been wrapped in reverence and quiet authority. She was not merely a consort to a king. She was a symbol of endurance, a woman who carried the monarchy through war, scandal, and uncertainty with a smile that concealed iron resolve. Yet behind that carefully composed public image existed a private world of handwritten letters, guarded reflections, and deliberate instructions meant for eyes she trusted. Those documents, preserved for decades within a restricted vault associated with Windsor Castle, were rumoured to contain more than sentimental musings. They were said to outline her vision for the monarchy's future quiet directives, waiting for the right moment to surface. That moment, it seems, arrived when Princess Anne chose to break the silence. Known for her unwavering loyalty to the crown and her refusal to indulge in theatrics, Anne does not move without purpose. Her announcement was measured, deliberate, and heavy with implication. She did not speak in riddles. She did not soften the revelation. Instead, she acknowledged the existence of sealed correspondence and confirmed that within those fragile pages, Catherine's name appears not once, but repeatedly, each mention tied to the phrase, future custodianship. The word alone carries weight. Custodianship does not imply temporary possession. It implies guardianship, trust, responsibility over legacy itself. As Anne described reopening letters that predate modern rivalries and shifting alliances, the emotional tension became undeniable. These were not documents drafted in reaction to recent headlines. They were written long before Catherine's rise to prominence, long before public debates about succession and symbolism intensified. The implication is staggering. The Queen Mother, revered for her instinctive understanding of stability, may have quietly chosen Catherine as the guardian of the crown's most historic jewels years before the world imagined such a possibility. That choice, preserved in ink and sealed by time, suggests foresight that now feels almost prophetic. Inside palace corridors, whispers turned urgent. Advisors questioned timelines. Senior figures weighed implications. The jewels in question are not mere ornaments. They are emblems of authority, pieces worn during coronations, state visits, and defining national moments. To assign them is to assign influence. And if Catherine has been named heir within these letters, then the Queen Mother's private will intersect sharply with the present hierarchy. Shock rippled outward. Some saw affirmation, others sensed disruption. But none could deny the magnitude of what had been exposed, because this revelation does not sit quietly within the walls of history. It challenges assumptions, it reopens old tensions, it raises the possibility that a silent plan has been unfolding beneath the surface all along, and as the weight of those sealed words settles over the monarchy, one truth becomes impossible to ignore, but opening the vault was only the beginning, because what Princess Anne read aloud next would ignite a quiet war inside the monarchy. As Princess Anne unfolded the fragile parchment, a single line froze the room. To Catherine, guardian of grace and future sovereign elegance, the Queen Mother had not only written of jewels, she had written of destiny. And if these letters are authentic, they reveal a private wish that bypassed tradition, reshaped inheritance, and silently crowned a new jewelry heir decades before the public ever imagined it. The words did not read like a casual compliment or a passing observation. They carried weight, intention, and unmistakable conviction. In the letter, the late Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, described Catherine not as an outsider stepping into royalty, but as a stabilizing force in seasons yet to come. That phrase alone sent a tremor through those listening. Stabilizing force. It implied turbulence. It implied that the Queen Mother, even in her final years, sensed storms on the horizon, storms that would test loyalty, fracture unity, and demand a figure capable of restoring balance without fanfare. Catherine, at that time far from the pinnacle she now occupies, was apparently seen as the anchor. The emotional tone of the letter was intimate, almost maternal. The Queen Mother wrote of watching Catherine from a distance, admiring her restraint, her measured presence, her refusal to chase attention. There was early admiration long before public devotion crystallized, long before titles were formalized, long before the world debated her influence. The implication is staggering. The Queen Mother's confidence in Catherine predates the power struggles that now seem so obvious. This was not reactionary endorsement, it was foresight. And then came the jewels themselves. Those heirloom treasures sift through generations, each piece carrying more than diamonds and gold. These jewels symbolize political continuity, silent hierarchy, and emotional sovereignty. To wear them is to carry the crown's memory on one's shoulders. The letter referenced specific coronation pieces, historic tiaras that once framed moments of national transformation. It spoke of emeralds that had witnessed vows of loyalty and sapphires that reflected eras of triumph and grief. These are not accessories, they are instruments of legacy. Yet hidden within this poetic reverence was something more daring. The language implied bypassing others who might have assumed natural claim. There were no direct accusations, no explicit exclusions, but the subtext was undeniable. The Queen Mother did not speak of inheritance by default. She spoke of inheritance by merit, by steadiness, by devotion, by quiet strength, and in doing so, she reshaped the narrative entirely. The jewels would not simply follow protocol, they would follow character. Perhaps most unsettling was the closing instruction. The Queen Mother urged that these letters remain sealed until what she called a time of uncertainty. That phrase hangs heavy now. Was she anticipating internal fractures, public doubt, shifting alliances within the monarchy itself? The timing of Princess Anne's revelation suggests that such uncertainty is no longer theoretical. It is present, it is pressing, and by unveiling these words now, Anne did more than honor a private wish, she activated it. The realization settled like a slow-burning spark. If Catherine was privately designated years ago, then current tensions are not spontaneous. They are echoes of something foreseen. And if the Queen Mother foresaw uncertainty, the next revelation suggests she understood exactly who would challenge that future. Why would such letters need sealing? Why hide Catherine's designation for decades? Because within those pages lies a silent acknowledgement of tension, an unspoken rivalry between legacy and modernity. And buried in careful phrasing is the suggestion that the Queen Mother anticipated conflict over jewels that symbolize far more than beauty. The more Princess Anne read, the clearer it became that these were not sentimental reflections, but strategic observations. The jewels referenced were never described as decoration. They were portrayed as instruments of authority, silent emblems that define rank without a single spoken word. When worn, they signal continuity. They command loyalty. They remind both the public and the palace who carries the weight of history. The Queen Mother understood that whoever controlled these heirlooms would quietly shape perception itself. And in monarchy, perception is power. Between the polished lines of admiration for Catherine, there were subtle warnings, phrases that felt almost prophetic. The Queen Mother cautioned against those who seek prominence without heritage, and warned of moments when ambition might outpace devotion. She did not name names, she did not accuse, but the implication was sharp. She foresaw a time when visibility might be mistaken for legitimacy, when public influence might challenge traditional hierarchy. It was not just a blessing for Catherine, it was a shield against a future contest. The emotional undercurrent of the letters carried a quiet urgency. The Queen Mother wrote as someone who had witnessed internal strain before, someone who had seen how quickly unity could unravel when symbolism is mismanaged. Her words hinted at disputes not yet born, disputes over who embodies the sea, Rhone's essence, and who merely occupies its spotlight. In elevating Catherine as custodian, she appeared to be drawing a line between endurance and spectacle, between rooted loyalty and shifting allegiance. This revelation reframed everything. The monarchy has always walked a narrow path between tradition and transformation. It must evolve to survive, yet preserve enough continuity to remain credible. Catherine, in the Queen Mother's vision, seemed to represent that delicate balance, a modern figure who still reveres inherited duty. But balance invites resistance. Every elevation creates displacement. Every endorsement casts a shadow over someone else. Princess Anne's composure throughout the reading added another layer to the tension. She did not waver, she did not dramatize. Yet her resolve was unmistakable. She was not merely delivering history, she was asserting it. By exposing these letters now, she signaled that legacy cannot be quietly rewritten by circumstance or popularity. The past, she implied, has already spoken, and beneath the controlled atmosphere, an unmistakable tremor spread. Other factions within the royal circle would not ignore this. Some may question interpretation, others may challenge timing, a few may see threat where Anne sees protection. The Queen Mother's foresight, once dormant, now breathes in the present, and with it comes the inevitability of pushback, because when Catherine's name was spoken as heir to authority disguised as Jules, it did more than honour her. It shifted internal gravity. It disrupted assumptions. It exposed the fault lines the Queen Mother had anticipated all along. And resistance did not remain theoretical, because the moment Catherine's name surfaced, alliances began to fracture. Within minutes of the revelation, silence fell across palace corridors. Phones stopped ringing, doors closed, and in private drawing rooms, questions erupted. Had the Queen Mother quietly chosen her successor in jewels and influence? If so, why was the family never informed? What followed wasn't a public spectacle. It was a controlled implosion behind centuries-old walls. The atmosphere shifted from ceremony to crisis almost instantly. Senior royals who had moments earlier listened in composed disbelief now found themselves summoned into urgent, closed-door discussions. No official statements were issued, no grand announcements were made, but conversations intensified behind polished doors, where legacy is guarded like treasure. Princess Anne's disclosure did not merely revive old ink, it disrupted an unspoken balance that had held for years. Emotions, usually disciplined and carefully managed, rose beneath controlled expressions. Some felt blindsided, others felt vindicated. A few reportedly questioned why such letters were concealed for so long if they carried such weight. The idea that Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, had privately mapped out the custodianship of historic jewels without broader knowledge unsettled even those accustomed to royal secrecy. It suggested decisions had been made long ago, decisions that now intersected directly with present authority. The jewels at the center of this storm are not abstract symbols. Pieces like the legendary Greville tiara, associated with defining moments of royal elegance and diplomatic power, carry emotional gravity that cannot be overstated. These heirlooms are woven into statecraft, ceremony, and the monarchy's visual language. To designate them is to designate narrative control. To inherit them is to embody continuity. The Queen Mother's alleged preference for Catherine was therefore not simply personal admiration, it was institutional positioning. And through it all, Catherine remained silent, composed, measured. Those observing closely noted that she did not seek clarification publicly, nor did she distance herself from the claim. Her restraint only amplified the drama. In chaos, stillness can appear powerful. It can also appear strategic. Some saw in her quiet demeanor confirmation of the Queen Mother's faith. Others saw calculated patience. The contrast between her calm and the palace's rising tension sharpened the divide. Did King Charles III know of these letters? Had he been aware of his grandmother's intentions, or was this revelation as startling to him as it was to everyone else? The absence of immediate clarification fed whispers rather than silenced them. If he knew, it implied consent. If he did not, it implied secrecy at the highest levels. Neither possibility was simple. Beneath the surface, a familiar fault line widened. Traditionalists within the institution argued that heritage and documented intent must prevail, that the Queen Mother's written words carried sacred authority. Modernists questioned whether past preferences should dictate present realities. The debate was not loud, but it was fierce. It was not visible, but it was decisive. The monarchy prides itself on unity, yet unity is fragile when symbolism shifts unexpectedly. Anne's decision to expose the letters forced everyone to confront a truth that could no longer remain theoretical. Inheritance is not merely procedural, it is deeply personal. It touches pride, loyalty, and identity. And when identity feels threatened, resistance intensifies. The silence that followed was not peace. It was recalibration. Posity, Enos were being reconsidered, alliances reassessed, And in the midst of this controlled implosion, a single question gained urgency, echoing through every private exchange, yet as tension mounted, one question loomed above all. Why did Princess Anne choose this moment? Princess Anne has never been impulsive. Every gesture is deliberate, every silence strategic. So when she exposed the Queen Mother's sealed letters, it was not an accident, it was a message. But to whom? And why now? The timing suggests a deeper motive, one that ties directly to shifting power dynamics and whispers of instability at the highest level of the crown. For decades, Princess Anne has carried a reputation that sets her apart within the royal fold. She does not chase headlines, she does not seek applause. Her loyalty is not theatrical, it is disciplined, almost austere. She has long positioned herself as guardian of continuity, the quiet enforcer of standards shaped by generations before her. That is precisely why this revelation feels calculated rather than emotional. Anne does not unveil sealed letters unless she believes silence has become more dangerous than disclosure. Behind palace walls, there have been murmurs for months about the allocation of historic jewels, discussions not made public, but persistent enough to unsettle those who value hierarchy. Certain heirlooms, particularly those associated with defining ceremonial moments, have reportedly become subjects of negotiation. Who wears what, and when, may appear superficial from the outside, but within the monarchy, these choices are coded messages. They signal rank, they hint at favor, they foreshadow future prominence. If debates were intensifying over these symbols, Anne's revelation of written proof would instantly recalibrate the conversation. By producing the Queen Mother's own words, Anne shifted the argument from opinion to documented intent. Written instruction carries a gravity that rumor cannot rival. It anchors the present to the past in ink that cannot be casually dismissed. In that sense, this was not simply exposure, it was strategic positioning. It ensured that any challenge to Catherine's implied inheritance would now require confronting the authority of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, herself. That is not a small obstacle. There is also the matter of preservation. Anne has always been deeply protective of tradition, not as nostalgia, but as foundation. If she sensed that evolving priorities threatened to dilute historical continuity, she would see intervention as duty, not rebellion. Revealing the letters may have been her way of safeguarding what she believes is non-negotiable. That legacy must be honored according to those who shaped it. Yet beneath the strategy lies something more personal. The undertone of her disclosure carried quiet loyalty to Catherine. Anne has observed her navigate scrutiny with composure, withstand criticism without retaliation, and maintain restraint in moments designed to provoke reaction. Perhaps she saw in Catherine the same resilience the Queen Mother once embodied. Perhaps she felt compelled to ensure that recognition was not quietly sidelined by shifting alliances. And then there is the possibility of prevention. By bringing these letters to light now, Anne may have preempted future disputes that would have erupted far more destructively later. Silence can allow tensions to ferment. Documentation can neutralize them before they explode. If a struggle over jewels was brewing, Anne's timing could be viewed as a defensive maneuver, an early assertion designed to avoid a more public fracture. Because if this act was protective, it suggests something unsettling. It suggests that beneath the composed surface of royal unity, a silent contest was already unfolding. And if Anne's move was defensive, it implies that a silent struggle had already begun. These are not just diamonds and pearls. They are living relics of coronations, state visits, and whispered promises. Every emerald, every sapphire carries the weight of monarchy itself. And if Catherine is named heir to these treasures, she inherits more than sparkle, she inherits expectation, scrutiny, and power that others may feel was theirs by right. For generations, royal heirlooms have functioned as silent declarations of authority. When a tiara rests upon a future queen's head, it does more than complete an ensemble, it signals continuity, legitimacy, and the blessing of history. Some of these pieces have witnessed abdications, wars, reconciliations, and triumphs. They have shimmered beneath chandeliers during state banquets and glinted beneath cathedral arches at coronations. They are not passive ornaments, they are witnesses to power itself. And the fact that Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, allegedly entrusted their future to Catherine transforms these artifacts into declarations of intent. Each jewel carries emotional resonance. The emeralds evoke resilience, having adorned figures who navigated turbulent decades. The sapphires whisper of loyalty and devotion, worn during moments when the crown required reassurance. The diamonds, brilliant and unyielding, symbolize endurance through scrutiny. To inherit such pieces is to inherit their stories, their triumphs, and their burdens. Catherine would not merely wear them, she would embody the narrative attached to them. Public perception intensifies this symbolism. Catherine has long been viewed as a bridge between eras, modern in presentation, yet grounded in tradition. She is perceived as relatable yet restrained, visible yet disciplined. That delicate balance mirrors the monarchy's own struggle to evolve without losing its identity. If the Queen Mother saw in Catherine a reflection of that equilibrium, the choice feels less accidental and more inevitable. But inevitability does not eliminate tension, it sharpens it. For others within the royal sphere, this revelation carries psychological weight. Jewels signal rank without proclamation. To be granted certain heirlooms is to be quietly elevated. To be excluded is to feel subtly diminished. The designation of Catherine as heir to these treasures may be interpreted as affirmation by some and displacement by others. It shifts the emotional hierarchy. It redraws invisible lines of prominence. And in a family where symbolism matters deeply, such shifts do not go unnoticed. Beyond internal dynamics lies the inevitable public reaction. Once these letters circulate beyond palace walls, debate will ignite. Admirators will frame it as destiny fulfilled. Critics may question timing, motive, and interpretation. Media narratives will amplify every nuance. The jewels, once objects of ceremonial admiration, will become focal points of discussion about succession, loyalty, and influence. Catherine's every appearance will be scrutinized not just for style, but for implication. A necklace may now be read as a statement, a tiara as confirmation. And beneath all of this lies a deeper truth. Symbols hold power because people believe in them. The Queen Mother understood that belief sustains monarchy more than protocol ever could. By naming Catherine as heir to these relics, she may have sought to reinforce continuity at a time when continuity feels fragile. Yet symbolism alone does not end controversy. It can, in fact, intensify it. Because when legacy is transferred in silence and then revealed in thunder, it invites questions that go beyond adornment. It invites scrutiny of motive, foresight, and hidden intention. And as the monarchy absorbs the emotional weight of these jeweled declarations, an even more explosive detail begins to surface. But beyond symbolism lies something even more volatile, the Queen Mother's final hidden clause. Just when the monarchy thought the shock had peaked, Princess Anne revealed one final passage, 3 sentences that could redefine everything. In it, the Queen Mother allegedly declared that the jewelry heir must embody steadfast loyalty, maternal strength, and unyielding devotion to the crown's survival. It wasn't just a blessing, it was a condition. And that condition changes the stakes entirely. The room, already tense from earlier revelations, tightened further under the weight of those words. This was no simple designation of ownership. It was a moral qualification. The Queen Mother had not merely named a successor to precious heirlooms, she had attached values to the inheritance itself. Loyalty, strength, devotion. These were not decorative virtues. They were survival traits, forged in eras when the monarchy faced existential threats. By binding the jewels to character, she transformed them into instruments of judgment. The criteria outlined in the clause were striking in their clarity. Steadfast loyalty suggested unwavering allegiance to institution over personal ambition. Maternal strength evoked not only nurturing compassion, but resilience under pressure, a capacity to protect legacy for future generations. Unyielding devotion to the crown's survival implied sacrifice, endurance, and prioritization of duty above comfort. This was less a romantic endorsement and more a blueprint for leadership. To many observers, the description appeared almost tailored to Catherine's public image. Her composure in moments of scrutiny, her careful navigation of motherhood under relentless spotlight, her consistent deference to institutional stability, these qualities have defined her trajectory, whether intentional or coincidental. The alignment between the clause and her reputation intensified the sense of inevitability. It felt as though the Queen Mother had written not merely about jewels, but about Catherine herself, years before her role crystallized in the public imagination. Yet the emotional implications ran deeper. By tying jewels to moral worth, the Queen Mother introduced a hierarchy of virtue into inheritance. The implication is profound. Possession is not automatic, it is conditional. The heir must prove herself worthy, not only by lineage, but by conduct. This shifts the narrative from entitlement to accountability. It also raises uncomfortable questions. Who determines fulfillment of these conditions? Who decides whether loyalty has been sufficient or strength adequately demonstrated? Within advisory circles, reactions were reportedly divided. Some saw the clause as poetic reinforcement of Catherine's path, a protective layer, ensuring that tradition remains anchored to integrity. Others viewed it as destabilizing. By codifying virtues, the Queen Mother inadvertently invited scrutiny. Every action, every perceived misstep, could now be weighed against that written standard. The jewels, once symbols of prestige, have become benchmarks of character. Through it all, Catherine maintained her characteristic restraint. She did not claim validation. She did not deny implication. Her silence, steady and unbroken, spoke louder than commentary ever could. Under scrutiny, she appeared neither defensive nor triumphant. That quiet strength, precisely the quality described in the clause, only deepened the narrative's intensity. But interpretation debates escalated rapidly. What does maternal strength truly encompass? Does unyielding devotion permit adaptation or demand rigidity? Advisors and insiders dissected language that had remained dormant for decades. Words meant for a future moment were now shaping the present. The clause did not settle tension. It intensified it, because when inheritance becomes conditional, loyalty becomes measurable. And when loyalty becomes measurable, comparison becomes inevitable. The monarchy now finds itself navigating not just legacy, but expectation carved in ink. The Queen Mother's final passage did not conclude the story, it expanded it, pushing every principal figure into sharper relief. And as the dust settles, the question remains: what happens next? 1 minute ago, the past reached forward and altered the future. Princess Anne didn't just expose letters, she revived a voice from beyond the grave that now echoes through every royal corridor. If Catherine is the chosen jewelry heir, then she stands not merely as consort, but as symbol. And symbols in monarchy are destiny. What began as the unveiling of private correspondence has now evolved into a recalibration of power. The long-term political implications are impossible to ignore. If the written wishes of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, carry moral authority, then they become a reference point for future decisions. They shape expectations, they influence ceremony, they redefine who carries the visual language of the crown. Into the next era, the monarchy does not operate solely on law. It thrives on perception, and perception has just shifted. Catherine's transformation is perhaps the most striking consequence. Once framed primarily as supportive figure, she now emerges as custodian of legacy. That distinction changes everything. A custodian is not ornamental. A custodian protects, preserves, and projects continuity. The Queen Mother's alleged designation elevates her beyond participation into stewardship. Every appearance, every choice, every measured silence now carries amplified significance. The jewels, when worn, will no longer be seen as adornment but affirmation. And in the background stands Princess Anne, whose role in this revelation may ultimately redefine her own legacy. She did not simply disclose history, she activated it. In choosing transparency over quiet containment, Anne positioned herself as truth-bearer, willing to confront discomfort, to safeguard what she believes to be authentic intent. That act required resolve. It risked criticism. Yet it ensured that the Queen Mother's voice would not remain buried beneath shifting priorities. The monarchy now finds itself at a crossroads between tradition and evolution. One path insists on honoring documented foresight, allowing history to dictate hierarchy. The other urges adaptation, questioning whether past preferences should govern present realities. This tension is not new, but it has rarely felt so concentrated. The letters have forced confrontation between reverence and reinvention, and in that confrontation lies the future shape of the institution itself. Beyond palace walls, fascination has surged. Public discourse ignites whenever secrecy collides with symbolism. Media outlets dissect every line of the alleged clause. Supporters champion Catherine as destined heir. Skeptics question timing and interpretation. The duels, once confined to ceremonial intrigue, now headline global conversation. In a digital age where narratives move faster than proclamations, the monarchy must respond not just with statements, but with steadiness. Yet amid the intensity, one truth remains: history within this family is layered, often concealed beneath protocol. If sealed letters have surfaced now, what else remains protected in archives and vaults? The revelation has stirred curiosity beyond jewelry. It has reminded observers that legacy is rarely linear. It is complex, guarded, and occasionally explosive. Catherine stands at the center of this unfolding chapter, neither claiming triumph nor retreating from implication. Her composure reinforces the very virtues described in the Queen Mother's words. That alignment strengthens belief in destiny for some and deepens unease for others. But destiny in monarchy is never solitary. It is interwoven with expectation and scrutiny. As debates continue and positions settle, the institution must decide how to integrate revelation with continuity. The letters cannot be unread. The clause cannot be unheard. The symbolism cannot be undone. The past has asserted itself with clarity, demanding acknowledgement rather than avoidance. Because in a family built on history, no vault stays closed forever, and this may only be the first letter to surface. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in next one.